Hi there, this is Eshu. I'm the abbot here at Zenwest Buddhist Society. This Living Zen-podcast is just one of the many resources we've created at Zenwest to make Zen practice and training more available and accessible to people all over the world. Instructional videos, printable resources, and much, much more are also available on our website at www.zenwest.ca. If you're a regular listener, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me an email at office@zenwest.ca and let me know who you are, how you got started, and what brought you to Zen. Everything we make available in person and online at Zenwest is only possible because of the support of our members and associates, people like you. If the efforts of our community are making a difference in your life, I'd like to invite you to show your support and take part in making it happen by becoming an associate or member of the Zenwest Sangha. You can do this by clicking the Join Us tab on our website at www.zenwest.ca. Thank you for your support, and thanks for listening. It's been a long time since I've had the opportunity to give a talk. It was a great opportunity during holidays to be able to let go of responsibility for leadership or upholding the Zen Center, just to be relaxed. Slept a lot. But of course, there's always challenges too. Anytime we engage in a role so fully, so much of our time. For me, being the abbot of Zenwest is more than a full-time job. So, as much as I enjoy the respite from the responsibility and the work, and just even the constant concern or thinking about everything from the form of practice to the finances to the activities that we engage in to the individual concerns of members, letting it go presents a bunch of problems on its own, because so much of who I've become is the abbot of Zenwest. So if we take that away, what's left? Even the relationships that I have with my wife and with my children are always kind of filtered through this role of the abbot. So the first part of vacation is always a challenge for me as I strip this away. These kinds of opportunities come up for me sometimes during sesshin, when I go and do sesshin, and always during holidays. The first thing that sometimes I let go of is sitting itself. For the first while especially, it's just to let go of everything related to the practice, to the role, to the relationships. It always seems like a good idea. But what's always comforting, I guess, or often where I come to, is that I actually deeply resonate with this practice, just this practice. And after a few days, I find that what I want to do, not what I have to do or what I have a responsibility to do, but what I want to do is sit. And I think for me, this practice of divesting, cutting away responsibilities, cutting away the robes and the roles and the names and the relationships and everything, is that what I'm continuously reminded of is the value, the experience of this simple practice of Zazen. This past week, just coming back from holidays, always the nature is to dive right back into the deep end. So this week we dove right in, our board and advisors. Everyone was invited, of course, but not everyone wants to commit the time that's required to engage in the strategic planning process. So this week we've engaged in the strategic planning process. This is always a challenge for people because we look at the organization of Zenwest Buddhist Society. We look at who our members are, and we look at what our structure is, and we look at the kind of offerings that we make to our members and to the community as a whole. We look at how we might better bridge the gap between what the difficulties, what the challenges are that people in our community, human beings, the difficulties that they're having, and what our practice has to offer. And we look at how to create doorways or opportunities for people to engage with this practice, with this community, and with me as a teacher. We talk about finances. We talk about marketing and advertising. We talk about all kinds of things. And I think that it's always, it's very easy for us to get lost. It's very easy for us to get distracted. It's very easy us to forget in practice that it's this physical activity coming together, or even on our own taking up this posture and engaging in this practice. For me, this practice is the most direct route. I've often compared it to just like plugging into the source. There are so many distractions, so many appliances, and so many whirring devices that are energized and powered and fueled through this source. And we can be distracted, obsessed, addicted to all kinds of these devices. And this foundation practice that we have is to come to know the source, our origin, the origin of all manifestations in this cosmos. not through something, not to understand about it, but to engage with it directly through practice. Our practice, our personal engagement with Zazen, our personal engagement with this specific tradition comes and goes. As we go through our lives, things come up, relationships begin and relationships end. People that we care about are born and people that we care about die. Work comes and goes. Finances come and go. Travel comes and goes. All of these things arise and fall away. And as a community, we see each other. It's like orbits, it's like planetary orbits around the sun where they're not round, they don't constantly sort of circle, they're sort of ellipses, and there are periods where people are very close to the center, and there are periods where people shoot way out, we don't see them for a long time. This is okay. This is a natural part of practice. But I think it's important for us as a community or as a group, as an organization, to remember that it's this practice. It's not the social activities. It's not the brand recognition. It's not the online resources. It's not the many, many things that we do that gives us this connection. But it's this physical practice, taking up this posture, paying attention to our breathing, and engaging, dissolving into the activity of the cosmos. Each of these other things that we do, each of the activities that we engage in, when we engage in them, or when we think, oh, we should do that, from my perspective, our motivation, our reason for doing these things is to ask if it supports the engagement in this fundamental activity. Over the past 6 months or so, the half of this year, I've had to put a lot of energy into my personal life, relationships within my family, relationships with friends that were going through difficulty. And I haven't been able to, I haven't been able to exert as much time and energy into the sustenance, the nourishment, the inspiration of this community as I should. And I apologize for that. Things seem to have settled down. I've had an opportunity to rest. And as I, get involved in the strategic planning, I have to say I was quite disheartened going into it, feeling pretty low, feeling like, I don't know, how much longer will this last, because I'm not seeing the energy. I'm not seeing the inspiration. I'm not seeing the motivation to keep this going, to create a place of practice, to make Zen come alive. But I have to say, yesterday's meeting really sort of kindled a spark for me. Because going into it, I just didn't know how much more I could do. And what I saw at the meeting was a bunch of people, more people at a strategic planning meeting than I've ever seen at a strategic planning meeting, I think, since the first ones we had. And the level of engagement, the level of willingness, the level of interest was, I think, greater than I've ever seen before. And more than that, the willingness to take on responsibility for the well-being of this organization and of this community was greater than I've ever seen before. So I feel like the spark has been rekindled in myself. Our community, I think, stands on the precipice of another transformation, another layer of its development. And there's always this sort of gap. Never seems to be, I think we always think development happens in a real sort of even, smooth trend, upward trend. But I don't know if it's just Zenwest or if it's things in general, but it always seems to me that it happens with it's like more like glacial in the sense that, yeah, there's kind of an upward ascent, but it's marked with these chasms, these great crevices that while you're making your ascent, you have to continuously reflect and look at that next chasm and say, can I jump it? Can I leap this? Can I make this leap? Do I have the energy? Do I have the resources? Do I have the support to make this leap? I think when the Zen Center made the choice to take me on as a full-time employee, it wasn't that, oh, look at all the money we have and we should do this because, well, what else are we going to do with this money? It was a matter of, I have no idea. Nobody has any idea if this is actually going to work. Are we willing to make this leap? And we said, yes. Ah! Didn't have a model to follow. Didn't have an example. Had lots of people saying it was a bad idea. But we did it. And I think this November, it's 10 years ago. We've done all kinds of things as a community that lots of people said we shouldn't. We've done lots of things as a community that lots of people said that we couldn't, that were impossible. We've done lots of things that said that there were no model for. There were no example to follow. There was no map. We've stood together at a precipice time after time after time. And I've always been willing to jump. But it's because I've always been supported. I've always had this community standing behind me and around me with support. So, I don't really, this is not going up on the podcast, this talk, I don't think, because I don't even know what the point of it is. Just to say, we continuously move forward in our efforts to make Zen come alive. This is our sort of motto or our tagline or our inspiration. Make Zen come alive. And this is what it means, is that we don't operate in a world of, this is the way things have always been done. This is our tradition. We have that certainly as aspects of our practice. But our way of engaging with this practice is, how do we carry it forward? How do we bring it forward? How do we make it come alive? How do we share this practice, this foundation practice, sitting meditation, with a whole new world of people? And I'm just grateful to have all of you engaged and all of you supporting me as we walk forward together to make Zen come alive. Okay. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.